I have to really master the art of being closer or farther from the mic for effect, like
Oh
leaning in
yeah.
for things that are important, or if I want to yell something, lean away so it sounds farther away. Like Bill Burr
Hmm.
in his podcast, he does it masterfully. Yeah, so I got home from work right before this. I went and hopped in the shower.
It totally cut out.
Sh- Shower
What?
just completely cut out.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all
Wait,
right.
try again. Try again. Try again.
I won't lean so far away. I'll just turn my head.
All right.
So I went and hopped in the shower.
Okay. That was good.
That's a pretty quality
It was.
Bill Burr
Good
impression you got
technique.
there.
Thank you.
I will say, watching the stream, like me and Trevor see like a massively delayed visual of us, but I think we can hear you on time, SWAT.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at that too. It's like very
It's like choppy too.
bad.
Well,
Oh
that's fine with me.
shoot!
God bless me, baby.
I'm trying to look at our stream
So,
on the internet, but probably because I'm trying to do so much fucking stuff, it's that's probably why
Yeah,
it's lagging so
are
much.
we
yeah,
on the Twitch machine right now?
Yeah, twitch.tv/
See you at Mike's.
see you at Mike's. Thank you.
are you checking right now? Is that what you're doing? I feel like
Yeah.
it's just delayed because we're in like two layers of digital.
Yeah, but it got worse after I started the stream in terms of its
Streamception.
choppiness.
But yeah, so it's like a third layer.
So if I go to settings,
Shout out to whoever might be seeing this right now.
shout out.
Is this just us right now? Like, is there?
Very.
Whoa, Trevor, what's the deal?
Hang on. Hold on.
That sounds massively delayed.
Well, I feel like it usually is with Twitch, but
Oh, okay, but it's not choppy, right?
wait, it's just straight up paused right now. Hang on.
SWAT, did you pause it in some way?
Maybe. I don't think so. It says
Oh.
that it's live. It's been live for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. It says that no frames have been dropped, so we're meeting our mark totally fine.
Okay. Maybe Trevor, did you just hit pause? I don't know.
No.
I'm just trying to think of suggestions here.
No, it'll kind of come in and out here.
It's not coming up for me on the old internet machine.
What do you mean coming up? Like it's just not showing up at all, or what?
Well, like it says that we're live, but it's not.
Yeah, I can see our three faces here.
Okay, so it's like blurred or paused or whatever. Oh, there we are, but we're not talking.
No, it's just our stoic ass faces.
I feel like it's just delayed because we're in like two layers of.
Yeah, so now I have audio.
Okay.
Obviously, you're hearing where it's at, but all our faces are just
Here's-
paused.
I'm gonna stop my video on Zoom,
Okay.
and I'm gonna hope that if I'm not sending video through the virtual camera, and I am just doing this, that it'll work out fine.
Okay, so let's try again.
Here's for dumb luck. I'm not gonna go look at this stream.
The
Okay, one of
Twitch.
you guys
I'll look
go.
at the stream. Yeah, because
yeah,
I'm
sure.
on Zoom on Wi-Fi, and then I'm looking at the stream on cellular.
Okay.
All right. Take two.
Which the Wi-Fi in here should be pretty decent, but the cellular might be poor. Stand by.
Stand by.
Standing.
I spent about an hour and a half looking for my phone earlier. And it's unfortunately
you find it?
a dark brick. I found it in the bathroom somewhere.
Oh.
Okay, I can't get this to play. Right. Oh.
Wait a minute.
Oh, hold on a second.
Holding.
Is it good?
Holding
Is it
on
good?
many seconds.
Doing this, that it'll work.
I just heard "is it good" twice.
I said, is it good twice?
Oh shoot!
Are we gonna edit it?
Dang it!
Are we gonna edit it? I'll look at the stream.
Darn, you really got me
Yeah,
excited there.
I'm on Zoom on Wi-Fi.
It sounds like it's working. Does it
Okay,
look
so
like
it's
working?
yeah, it's recording. Maybe we should stop like double recording the stream onto itself.
The Wi-Fi in here should be pretty decent. Oh wait, we got a moment of. It's kind of rolling right now, like the.
The silence might have
YouTube
just been
video
us
and
not
audio.
talking. By the way, the silence might have just been us not talking.
It was like stillness too. Like right now, it's everything seems live,
I'm gonna
audio and video.
So maybe the initial pause is just like the initial delay of like us record. I don't know. I don't know how the streams work. All right, I'm
Me
just
either.
trying to explain
Have
the
we-
way.
Have we looked for something that would be like a one-stop shop for audio and video and uploading in terms of software rather than the combo?
Oh baby.
Obviously, something that'd be. Let's just close that. That'd be free as well.
Yeah, from what I've seen, the video's good enough to just do with Zoom. We can do audio through Zoom, but it'll suck. We have to use either OBS or another streaming software separate from Zoom. But in terms of like our setup right now of using OBS as well as Discord for sound as well as Zoom for video, it from what I've read is the best and most efficient and the most free.
All right. Well, I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Most free, just like the land of the brave, baby.
Hell yeah.
We can always see, what it looks like after the fact if we have the recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twitch will keep our videos for 14 days after, and I will download them onto my computer to upload to other places.
Epic.
Well, for the two people that will maybe watch this someday, should we start talking about whatever we want to talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to fix my chandelier a little bit here. My lighting is pretty white right now.
That
One's classic.
freaking
The
up.
second people want to start talking, it's like, oh, I got to go fix my chandelier.
God.
Look, dude, all right.
Trevor and his fucking chandelier every time.
The amount of times I've heard that one is a little too much for me.
It's absurd at this point. I mean, we can't have. Why did we even invite him if he's gonna just be doodling with a chandelier every time we try to get on?
It is kind of a problem. This is an ongoing situation, folks. Society has progressed past the need for. Oh, it actually okay. The lighting is different. I will
that
give
was
him
good.
that.
Yeah, it's obviously it's different, dude. What do you think I was
Sure.
doing?
I don't know.
Doodling your
The
chandelier.
the innuendo behind diddling with your chandelier is a little too much.
Sorry, I had to go finagle my chandelier.
Okay.
All right, that's better.
Fondle it.
All
Let's-
right.
let's
Let's
introduce ourselves.
Step back, folks.
Alrighty. Welcome, all you viewers, to our first live stream episode with all hosts present of See You at Mike's.
Yep. And well, Mike is gone, but he's gonna be gone for a while. He's for an undisclosed amount of time. Mike will be absent from this stream.
Mike also might not be existent.
No. I mean, all right. Let's not be erasing Mike's existence here. He's on a trip.
Okay, Trevor, do you want to start introducing yourself, who you are, what you do?
No, I'll skip.
Okay, cool. Prem, you want to start?
Reverse.
Wait. Oh, hell yeah.
He has it. Shoot. All right. I'll go. I didn't have it on me. All right. So, folks, important context is we all are from the same hometown in North Dakota. We're buds. We're pals, and now we're streamers. And that's the natural evolution of every group of guys in America. So, my name is Prem. I'm in New York at the moment. I study at Columbia. I study history. And that's about it. There's nothing else exciting about me.
You have a newsletter.
So
Come on,
newsletter.
plug it.
I put a link.
There will be so many opportunities for plugging. I mean, this is more like a teaser to be like, oh, he's obviously not that boring. It's like this is more like a teaser, like, well, you have to keep listening to sort of discover and uncover the interesting parts about me. Like
Sure.
I'm a book that's waiting to be opened, and right now you've just read like the spine. You
Cool.
know,
There is a link to your Substack thing on the
thank
Twitter
you,
or on the Twitch
thank
page
you,
about
thank
us.
you. All right, well, in earnest, it's a newsletter I just started. It's called Better World. Short and sweet is that it's premised on the idea that a better world is certainly possible, and it's just going to be a series of reporting, of writings, conversations with people that tries to figure out how to get there. So, if you're into writing that's personal, that's intimate, that's uh, political, of course, explicitly political, then you should totally check it out and send it with, if you like it, at least send it with some friends who might like it too.
Awesome. Trev?
Yeah, you have to reverse back to you now.
My name is Trevor Binstock. I'm a commercial aviation student at the University of North Dakota. Um, I currently deliver pizzas, but will soon be a flight instructor for UND. That's what I do most of the time. Yeah, that's about it. Over
What
to
are
you,
your what are
Swati.
your what are your thoughts on the future of pizza delivery via air?
Are we talking like drone traffic?
No, no, commercial.
Just
No, like
commercial
dropping
aviation.
pizzas like bombs out of the back of like a B-52, just like pallets of
Because if there's
pizzas.
one thing that America needs more of, it's bombs.
Right. I'd say, yeah, if you were flying like a fixed wing aircraft over a location to drop a pizza to an address, you'd either need a very skilled pilot or some really capable technology, computing to make that happen.
And it just so happens,
Um,
Trevor, that you're both.
Yeah.
I have like the computing capacity of your average toaster that just converts a position on a dial to minutes.
Well,
Um, so yeah, I don't really think that commercial aviation pizza delivering is in the near future, but um, definitely not impossible.
man, that's the attitude, folks.
And that's the dream, man. That's where it's all going to come together for me in my career.
Mm.
Riveting.
Well, I hope you get there one day, kid.
Thank you.
SWAT?
Sweet. My name
No,
is
SWAT.
Sweet. So,
No, SWAT.
oh my gosh, what do you want from me?
Your name is SWAT, not sweet.
Oh, I get it. Okay. Okay,
Come
thank
on. Give me a give me a
you.
badunts.
But
Oh, my hi hat isn't open.
Oh my gosh.
open it.
All right. Well, prepare it for the next joke. All right. Yep, I'll take it.
The way that the mic cuts out background noise, all we got was
Yeah.
like kook.
Yeah.
wait,
It
hang
sounded
on.
like you dropped like a China set or something.
All right, no. Here's what I have to do then. Since that first one might not get picked up, I'm just gonna like
Just go.
make like a vocal drum roll beforehand, so my mic's picking up the whole thing. So it's gonna go like this.
You gotta keep the drone going. Oh no,
All right.
we're running out of time. This
remaining-
meeting will end in 10
All right, SWAT, you have
minutes.
to introduce yourself. You have to introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Tyler Joseph Swatlowski. I am a young lad from the Midwest, and I might be upgrading my Zoom account while we do this. So I am a college dropout. I have been spending the last couple years. Last year, I did a whole year in youth summer Bible camp ministry at a place called Metagoshi, Camp Metagoshi near Botno, North Dakota. And now I live at a real groovy place called the Micah Center, where I'm sure a lot of our early viewers will be viewing, not from locality, but have known about us from the Micah Center. I live there by the grace of Dan and Deborah, who own the facility and direct the facility. So be sure to check them out. They're really cool. Other than that, I'm just like a weird dude. I don't know if you can tell, but I love these two other faces that are on this screen with me with all my heart. Both are my greatest friends of all time. Prem, I have been secretly planning to marry for the last couple of years, and I think we're
It
making
hasn't been
progress.
secret.
Well, it hasn't been secret, but I think we're making secret progress. And Trevor,
Yeah,
I lived with,
secretly.
and always wanted him to sleepwalk into my room at night because he sleepwalks, or at least did. And unfortunately,
Wait, no, don't reveal all of what happened from the sleepwalk.
right, but unfortunately, he never sleepwalked into my room.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not
but
too sad about it, but that's
yeah, he's kind of messy when he sleepwalks and kind of he's in his own world, and he kind of sounds fun when he's sleepwalking.
Hey, I can proudly say that at this point in my life, I've transitioned from peaceful sleepwalks into my roommates' rooms to panic-driven night terrors.
oh, you're back to
Yeah,
that
so
sort of stuff.
Yep. Oh
we'll have
yeah.
to
I'm on that hard kick.
we'll have
Sorry
to
about
work on that one.
I don't have my wallet on me, so I can't upgrade the Zoom session right now, but I'll just start another one and invite you to it, and we'll get that worked out for next
Okay.
time.
Okay.
Word.
All right, who wants to start with the question?
Well, SWAT, was there something on your mind to start out with?
All right, let's talk about adulthood, because we are three young lads. I think we're
We
all the
are.
same age. We graduated the same year. We
Yeah, we
graduated from
did.
high school in the year 2017, and that puts us at the age right now. I don't know. I don't know how old I am anymore. 22.
Yep.
Yes. And I think we're all at least 21.
We're all 22, I'm pretty sure.
We're all 22. And so we are
I'm 21.
young in
What?
the realm
Uh,
of, I don't know, contemporary thought, in terms of we are just now starting to break into kind of having a widespread acceptance in terms of our age and wisdom, but also still being really stupid young 20-year-olds. And so, what do you guys think so far about adulthood and how it's viewed in our generation as we grow up with our peers and cohorts in college? And also, how do you feel your relationship has changed with older generations and younger generations as we grow?
Well, I want to start by saying that as a college student and, living in a college town, still close to my parents, things like that, just because I didn't move for college, don't feel like I've really left the nest yet, as I can hopefully expect to do when I get a big boy job at some point. Um, so my transition to adulthood really is, kind of feels like it's dragging its feet until I no longer live in the same town as my parents, at least. Even though I'm living on my own, things like that, like still being on my parents' insurance, what have you. It doesn't feel like a complete transition. Like you said, we're still young. We're still kind of in that transitional phase. But I will say that where it is different is being able to enjoy like the privileges that come with adulthood, feeling like you're looked up to more, or rather just not looked down upon as being a minor. That's nice. Yeah, so I'd say right now I'm kind of in this honeymoon phase of adulthood where I can enjoy all these privileges and attitudes about it, even though I've got a pretty sturdy safety net being where I am now. That doesn't feel like I've really accepted the responsibility of being an adult.
Yeah.
I guess from my perspective, of course, it's different being in New York slightly, and especially now, like I'm taking a gap year, so I've been working the past year and sort of living in an apartment, and just pretty much being a proxy like diet adult essentially, just in the sense that like I know I'll go back to school next year, but in that way, it's been interesting. I mean, especially of course doing that all in a pandemic and like I guess feeling like a heightened sort of like collective responsibility in that way. Like, of course, I'm not like taking care of like kids or like a dog in my apartment, but just like of precautions you have to take, especially in New York City, of not just when you leave, but when you get home, of trying to maintain like safe standards and stuff. Especially when you have roommates. Like, I guess in that way, it's been interesting to feel like sort of like proxy responsibility that like adults or parents might face in more formalized ways. Um, I'm interested when Trevor brought up the idea of like not being or look being looked up to, or at least not being looked down to. It's it's such a shame that like that is like a very natural feeling to feel that like by virtue of your age, like there's I mean and of course it's like generational too, with like boomers who are like, oh, those darn Gen Zers or millennials like don't get it kind of thing.
Right.
And of course, like that probably has happened in prior generations too, but it's just like so because realistically, like adulthood and generations and all of the phases are in so many ways arbitrary. I mean, other than of course like actual material like brain development and
Right.
things like important things like consent and stuff like that, and like when you can drink, but like more just like social cues and like the way we view other people as human beings, like how they're based on such just like everything else, like socially constructed like notions of what it means to be like a high schooler or a college student or an adult, whatever an adult means, because it's like, I mean, what is an adult? Like, does it mean to be like just out of a nest? Does it mean to like have heightened responsibilities? Does it just mean to not be around like other caregivers? Um, like, it's I think it's just worth, of course, like we're about to run out of Zoom time here, but I guess we'll still be talking. But I think it's worth maybe digging into what it actually means to be an adult and why it even matters, what sort of import and importance we assign to it, at least in a sort of like Western American society.
Right. Yeah, one of the things that's always bothered me, like, is like adulting, like adult as a verb.
Yeah,
Like, oh, I just paid my first bill. Hashtag adulting. Oh, like,
right.
okay, here I'm jumping on the boomer train as the 21-year-old, but like, I think one of the most interesting things is the denial of real problems for anyone who isn't dealing with what is thought to be real problems, which
Yes,
the current discourse that real problems is like taxes and
right.
bills and health insurance. Like those are real problems, but like mental health for a sixth grader is not a real problem because they don't have a real world.
Yeah.
And like yeah, I guess like I don't feel like in this time period that I'm transitioning into a different, more real world. I feel like I'm actually
Mm.
conversely shifting away from a real world where my childhood was. Uh oh. There they
Well,
go.
we'll start hearing you talk. So as you
Oh,
send us a
hey.
new link, keep going. Because
Yeah.
who are you talking to? Is that Dan?
Um, let's get connected. Okay, I'm going
Okay.
to send you guys the link.
Right.
Um, I feel like I've been shifting away as I'm getting older from a real world that I lived in as a child into a
Mm.
more fake and arbitrary world as I'm being shown these like problems that we've been looking forward to having becoming an adult this whole time.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's such an excellent way of looking at it, because especially like as you start to like grow up and mature, you either sort of continue like seeing so many normal segments or features of society as just inherently normal, or like just how things are, or you get skeptical. If you're skeptical, and as you said the word arbitrary, and you see things as being arbitrary, or just like no one said things had to be this way, like no one said like people have to be like constantly bogged down by things like student loans or like unequal tax systems or whatever. Then it's like, if this, like, what does it mean for this to be the real world? Like, and who's defining the real world if not just like, it just seems like a total dogma to like uh, inhibit you from wondering what a better real world could be, you know?
There it is. First plug. First
Oh
plug.
yeah, ding ding ding
Better
ding ding
world.
ding ding. We need like a bell like every time I just go back to plugging it.
Right.
But I mean that's it's true. Like it's
Just sent you guys the
yeah,
invite.
I see that.
Um,
See that.
so I'm working in a camping ministry where we live together as a group of young adults, college students, high school graduates, moving into.
Oh baby, wait. East Louise, the echo. All right, continue.
Yes, um, mute
Wait.
myself. There we
All
go.
right, great.
Um, there's it's a very similar difference to something that came to my attention working at the camp where we lived as a close society of human beings with a common goal of caring for children over a summer at camp, a 3 month period of time where we are there to escort kids through an experience grounded in a spiritual connectedness together.
Mm.
And the sense that these young adults got, the staff members, moving through this 3 month period together, was that they, in fact, were not doing anything real that whole entire time. And when they left camp to go back to their depression, their anxiety, and all the bullshit that they had to deal with in quote unquote real life, a lot of the sentiment that I got from my friends and family that I lived with for 3 months was basically, what we're doing here is just a play and it's fake. And when I go back to hating my life, that's what's real. I think I just reiterated my like grouchy, like punk rock boomerness. I don't think I added anything.
But that is a perfect little like analogy. I mean, it's just like pain is real, like the struggle is real. Any escape from that, any sort of sense that like you don't have to constantly be like anxious about things is like a potentially a temporary escape or something that like like that's it's time out, it's playtime. It's I know, which is so funny considering how like embedded like notions of like heaven or like salvation are. I guess it does make sense because that's like the final destination. You don't get there until like things are finally over, until you can, until anxiety is done. But it's like, no, you can't have that here. There's no such thing as heaven on earth. There's no sense of uh, a mutual, like a constant thrust of mutual aid and mutual support because that's
Right.
not how things are,
Well, I
you
mean,
know?
that's just like one of the huge downfalls of like modern Christianity as a spiritual
Yeah,
religious movement in the world
of
is
course.
the advent of heaven and hell. But that, I mean, that's a whole thing that we can get into. I'm gonna
Sure.
turn on a lamp here before it gets too dark.
Oh yeah,
We
I'm
can't
so
even see
glad.
you, so
Yeah.
yeah, I was starting to not be able to see your face. Um, yeah, this is something I want to organize my thoughts on a little bit better, because we're kind of getting away from that adulthood, but it's
Yeah.
totally plays into what you guys were saying here. I actually wrote a couple pages on it just while the thoughts were hot in my head a couple weeks ago. But yeah, just talking about how it's like so embedded and understood that this like constant state of anxiety is just the right way, the path to be on. Because SWAT, as I was reading your commentary on the DAO, there's a lot of things just saying like basically the whole text is adverse to that feeling of like you should constantly be like in a state of anxiety.
Right.
Um, but as I was reading it, like one part of me was like, yeah, this is great. I really dig this. I can get down with it. But the other part of me was like, this is never going to be sustainable. Like, certainly, if you pay attention to this, your life is going to fall into a just chasm of sloth and despair and embarrassment.
Yes, it is. Sorry,
Like,
continue.
no, yeah. So we can kind of hop back on the adulthood for sure. This ended up, I mean, there's so many ways to like take it. As you can see, we're already off on a tangent now, but that is something I would like to discuss at some point.
No, I mean,
Um,
let's get into that because I love the Tao, and I love the feeling of doom that comes from the rug of pain and suffering and anxiety and motivation through stress being pulled out from under someone, and the feeling of being lost in that. I remember my first like mystical experience was in a meat cooler at Target, and when I started thinking after that experience, I was like, I am going to die. I'm literally going to go insane and fall off around Earth in like some weird centripetal movement and no longer, and just like cease to exist because I am just going absolutely insane. And so the experience of a lot of like really deep spiritual work for me has been one of a very similar like thing of this cannot actually be how it is. There has to be some sort of need for stress, some sort of need for anxiety to push you. And how I conceptualize that right now is like, for millions and billions and billions and billions of years, I don't know if billions of years, I don't think humans have been around, but
billions.
The motivational system of stress and anxiety for humans has been an evolutionary asset to us. In terms of like, if you're out there like with a fucking rhubarb leaf loincloth running around trying to trap rabbits and eat berries, I mean, like,
Lord of the Guys.
Yeah. How there's a video floating around on someone's phone of us filming a high school project where we stuffed rhubarb leaves into our shorts and ran around and were crazy idiots trying to reenact Lord of the Guys.
Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the
Is
Sorry,
that
Lord of the Flies. We called it Lord
Not
of
Lord of
the
the Guys. Oh my gosh.
Dan
You,
just,
you fully, it
commented.
was like a propaganda video, and now you fully just, it's like you don't even know what Lord of the Flies is. It's just Lord of the Guys. Like it's
Yeah.
been replaced.
Fortunately, I derailed myself from my ravings. I don't even remember what I was talking about.
You were saying that anxiety, like, someone in a state of a need for survival that wasn't anxious was pretty much doomed to get killed.
Right.
Get made a purpose at that point in time.
And so at
Yeah.
least at this point, we conceptualize in our mind, in our inner workings of compartmentalizing every single thing and filing our experiences and thoughts, is that our greatest like motivator is stress. And without stress, if you live in a black and white world, no stress means no motivation. And so you see this a lot if you listen to podcasts with like artists who like get real deep into their like depression and shit. A lot of them will say, I feel uncomfortable going to therapy because I feel I will lose my art if I'm not depressed anymore. And that is just
Right.
one of the craziest bullshit things I've ever heard in my life. It's so hilarious. And so I love talking about it, but I haven't said really anything constructive except for that it is a thought that we need it. What was your thoughts on it, Trip?
Um, uh, so basically, yeah, it's similar to like an artist worrying that they're gonna lose their artistic edge if they stop being depressed,
Mm-hmm.
um, or schizophrenic or whatever. Um, is that I worry that if I buy into the dogma of like the Tao or the Gita or something like this that pretty much tells you to just like um, just to chill out, that I'm just gonna become a bum, and all of like the work that I like could put in towards a fulfilling future is just gonna fall apart. And that like it's not even worth finding a happy medium for like this thing that's said in thousands of years of wisdom to be the way just
Mm-hmm.
seems like a toxic way of conducting yourself.
Sure. And so,
I
like,
want
what, like, working towards fulfillment, like, where is the end point? What is productive and what sort of work can you be doing to hit any sort of, I mean, we don't even have to say endpoint or satisfaction or fulfillment. You can go to, like, what sort of work is happening and where is it leading you? And so, what the Tao is saying is really the work that you're doing is a part of this billion and billion and billion year long journey of the universe. And when you reconceptualize your life and orient yourself in a manner that your own life as the story of it no longer being the center of attention, you move away from these sorts of thought patterns that lead you towards exploiting individuals and pride and prejudice, and you move more towards harmony with things going on. And in my experience, harmony with things going on happens to be a lot of action in that. There's a Buddhist sort of understanding of action in the non-action and non-action in action. This is my own interpretation of it, of course, but like we have these ideas of like if we're doing actions, we will find something that will hit our button enough that we will feel satisfied. The hardest button to button, as Jack White said.
don't 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 don't.
And so we look out for what our wants and needs are and do everything that we possibly can to fulfill those. And those are the actions that we take. And so if you take something like a practice like meditation, which is in that sort of realm, a non-action. Meditation, if your idea of accomplishing goals is nothing, it's not accomplishing nothing. And the action in that is actually creating this sort of space and atmosphere where an inner work and an inner action takes place that changes your outlook on what your surroundings are and how you conceptualize success and failure and so on and so forth. Jesus. I feel like I needed to like vent a little bit before we got on here. Did any of that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, again, it like anything we was talking about here, just kind of like every like 10 seconds, something you would say would like open up a place that I could take it to.
Yeah.
I feel like a good way to maybe structure these, obviously right now we're just kind of trying to set a framework for the future of these talks, but something like, let's say, a post from Better World or something shorter. One of us comes in with a short essay, something they like to talk about, their views on it, and that way we can spring from that and bring it back to it as necessary. Cause yeah, man, there's a lot in what we've talked about already.
Right. I really like our conversations that we have just in the living room, you know? And
Right.
that's kind of, I think, what I look for when I am trying to consume media, because of like when I'm looking to consume a sort of any sort of media, I am looking for that sort of like intimate, opening, vulnerable space. One where a non-agenda actually creates a space where what I'm looking for in that consumption takes place. And so I really do like the we're on 30 tangents and we're not talking about adulthood anymore, because what we're talking about doesn't really matter. What matters is the space that is being created. That's just the
I get
counter
that.
to what you're talking about, but I also like your idea.
No, I totally get it. I mean, I like that too. For the same way, it's sort of like playing like trading card games. Let's say we're playing Magic. Playing any given game isn't nearly as fun as the like questions about like game theory and like rules discussions that'll come up, and like the like what could be based on these rules that you'll like see throughout one of those games. So it's sort of the same idea here, is that the topic of discussion isn't nearly as fun as the possibilities that, that topic brings about.
Right.
But just for the sake that we're going to have X amount of hours of content for other people to view, you know, like um, it might not be as fulfilling for them as it is for us to
You're right.
just run with any tendril of conversation we fancy.
You're so right. I'll fill in
Yeah.
the
I
space of
mean,
being the no
surely.
tangent guy.
All right. Yeah. I mean, surely those are not mutually exclusive, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Trevor, that game analogy was actually quite beautiful.
And also
Thank
caring
you.
about listeners. I mean, you saw I was being selfish and saying I want this, I want this, and so I would think we should do it this way because I want
Uh,
this sort of thing. And Trevor was like, well, there's also like real people who might actually be interested in this, and let's not alienate those people with your fucking mouth.
yeah, folks, we
That's
care about you, so that's why you should continue listening.
That's true, but I'll also don't let that get in the way of or start drifting into, you know, if you start a project with the audience in mind, you're probably going to freak out and lose all your motivation and worry too much about it. So
Oh
I want to
Yeah.
keep the charm of the conversations that it is just us three talking about what we would talk about. But yeah, I guess a healthy mix of the two would be good.
Frem, how are you feeling about success and failure and productivity and finding something? What are your thoughts on that right now?
And of course, there's of course two strengths to this. One is just as an individual, especially like I have my own like sets of privileges and stuff, right? So like I can more comfortably pontificate about why our conceptions of success and stuff are stupid and like essentially degrading to so many people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then of course there are individuals that like don't have certain similar privileges that like right like their most immediate thing is just you know paying a bill or like keeping a roof over their head. So I think that's just important to acknowledge, I guess, in these conversations is that like those are obvious distinctions, but like those distinctions don't discount critiques of any criticism you would make of society or success. Like
Mm-hmm.
just because, for example, like I might have this certain privilege to like our conceptions of like success sucks. Like that doesn't invalidate the fact that like these conceptions do in fact make it so a lot of these people are in those struggles in the first place. Um, I just thought I would get that out there before we continue on. Those are the receipts, folks. If you feel upset that we're not taking into account certain people, that I mean, we are in fact explicitly because we wouldn't be talking about these things if we weren't keeping in mind everyone. You know, like this is the nature of these conversations is that there's a human connection here and a shared experience that even if the exact levels of um, alienation or frustration or pains we have are not the same, there are certain through lines between them that contribute to why they exist in the first place. Um, and of course, like that notion is inherently tied to success because success is something we as a social sphere define. And which also means we define what it takes to get there. Um, which is more of a problem, as you said, if you don't know what the end of success even is. Like if success is meant to be this material thing, but we just don't know what it is or what it means to be successful. Well, of course, that's not a great equation. And of course, I have plenty of other specific thoughts, but I think I need to reground myself in all this first. So that's why I went off on that like more abstract preface. And I know Trevor has something, so I think this will hopefully get us back to ground zero.
No, it totally won't. First of all, I just wanted to
Sweet.
say that success is having a boat and two kids that play varsity
Oh
hockey
gosh.
named Bryston and Braxton, and a dog named Remington,
Yes.
and just
Remington.
like infinity beers.
Yes.
Also, Prem, I love what like a recognizable personality you're developing in like whenever you like bring up topics, like not to say that you're repetitive or anything, but just like in something like this, like I recognize a lot of these ideas from Better World and from The Spectator. um like a big recognizable one just being that throughout all the differences that you see in people is that if you go deeper and deeper, you're going to see those through lines that connect us, and it's like that's what we should be focusing on, and that's what will help us um, understand each other, look out for each other. But I just really enjoy seeing those, those recognizable things come up more and more with you. It's like it's making you, I don't want to say it. You think about your favorite like TV personality or like podcast host or something. You kind of like get what they're going for and like their ideas, and like you're becoming more and more celebrity like in that sense.
Thank you.
Just with your ideas. That's always fun to see grow and build.
Thank you. Thank you. And a sidebar also, that reminds me at some point we should talk about the concept of celebrity. Because there's a lot to talk about in terms of celebrity, but that has to be later. That cannot be today.
Okay.
There's a bunch of different tangents that would go along with that one that I think would be better fit elsewhere. But thank you for that very nice comment. That was very kind.
Dan said something in the chat, and
Oh, what did he say?
about adulthood. He said,
Oh, let's hear it.
capitalism and the Puritan work ethic has turned adulthood into a death march of overwork and anxiety.
Mm.
Quote, this isn't as cool as Tyler falling off the planet.
But Dan, I mean, that's like dead on. I mean, of course, like, uh, it's like, I mean, yeah, it's just like an endless march. Like, what are you marching to? I mean, it's just like the same way you freaking from in normal structure of sort of like normal American Western society is you go to school, 4 to 18. You're hopefully gonna have daycare between there, so then your parents can work, and then you go to school for those years as long as physically possible, so your parents can be at work as long as possible. And then from 19 until 65, and I mean, at this point, there are plenty of politicians that are pushing further to like 70. You will be in either college, some form of higher education, or work. Um, and which is not to say that having a job is bad. Obviously not. Having a dignified, safe, and fulfilling job is obviously a good thing. But the idea that the normal scale of things is 40, 50, 60 hours a week, whittling away, and then having hopefully 6 to 8 hours of sleep if your life circumstances allow you to, then having about 3 to 4 hours potentially every day to engage with your fellow human beings is a nonsensical equation. Life is more than work. Life is uh, falling in love. Life is learning about things that you're not familiar with. Life is reading. Life is going to the theater. Life is watching a movie or a play or hearing a beautiful voice sing. Life is is heartbreak. Life is getting in fights with your fellow human being. Life is freaking baking cookies for someone. Life is so much more than the formula laid out for us until, as you said, Dan, the eventual ending point, wherever that is, either from age, from freaking workplace injuries, because workplace protection in this country are also quite dismal. Um,
What about, okay,
there,
here's another thing, retirement. Okay.
yes.
Oh,
Okay,
oh,
go for it. But I have so many thoughts.
okay,
Oh
so,
my gosh.
you know,
Oh my gosh.
nobody can sit fucking still. And, I mean, I do a pretty alright job at it. And my whole
Yeah.
entire life right now is like, I'm putting in 24/7 weeks trying to sit fucking still. And so I'm working on that. But uh, when someone goes through their whole entire life through that system, and it is foot on the pedal the whole time, when any sort of brakes are pumped, I mean that's just what a whole culture shift it is to move into a time where work is not expected. What the hell do you do? Your whole life has been nothing else for like how many years just working, and now you're expected to like go to Arizona and
Yeah.
sit by your pool and drink your martini and hopefully not hate yourself because the whole like you can have no conceptual idea of yourself separate from work.
Right.
And so my stepdad, who complains about wanting to retire, but also knows that he has no structural framework in his life for what a retired life could look like. He knows
Yeah.
that it's hopeless for him to retire. He will hate it and he'll want to
Right.
die. And so he would
Yes.
rather work until he dies instead.
Yes. So I have 3 points, and then Trevor, of course, please come in before I just continue. But retirement is something that very much gets my gears going. So SWAT, firstly, yes, absolutely. It's just so destabilizing to go from one set of social expectations to another of endlessly working to then pausing, or not necessarily working, but being active in a way. The point of retirement is to be inactive, which, sidebar, point 1A or point 1B, there are plenty of sinister hogs that say, like, I can remember in the onset of COVID, there were certain esteemed thinkers, esteemed in the sense that they had a platform, arguing why, like, I mean, after 70, what's the point anyways? Like, it's okay if those folks die. Are you insane? That's absolutely blood curdling to just say, yeah, I mean, like, once you hit 70, 72, like, how much life do you have left anyways? Well, yeah, because that's how we set things up, you absolute zombies. Okay, point 2. Of course, it's important to acknowledge that, like, retirement outcomes are also vastly different for people. Like, we don't we don't have a real nationalized conception of care for our elderly people. Either many people throw them in retirement homes, which have notoriously abusive atmospheres, um, or you just let old people kind of like live by themselves, and you don't really check up on them. Or if you are someone from like a more marginalized community, there is no like coherent sort of ending space. Like it's you like who knows where you'll be kind of thing. Like there's no coherent idea of that. But yeah, even in the most sort of like ideal circumstances of you get to be a snowbird and find a spot in Arizona, it's like there's no. You're right, Swat. There's just no conception of what's life after work. Um, it's like this limbo between the supposed like ending, depending on like of course your religious values, um, and the first 60, 70 years of your life. There's no notion of what the sort of like common denominator of life can be, whether you're 4 or 84, because in reality, if there was a sort of common denominator of like a sort of like steady state of like life, of community, then after you retired, whenever that was, whatever we visualized retirement to be, um, you would go to that steady state, that denominator of what like life is without work, whether it's like that sort of romanticized idyllic thing I just described earlier. Ideally that would be the steady state. Um, but that, you would return to something that's a more shared experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I mean, and of course I come at this too because like, in India, taking care of your elders is exceptionally important. Like oftentimes you'll even live with your parents, like as they get older and like you get married. And I at the very least want to live around my parents when I get older. Nearby at some place, if not, just together, whatever. But like at the very least that, and that at least in the West is much less of a common thing. It's more common to just, you have the retirement home or and I understand like sometimes you can't do that, but I think we should at least have a social system where that is conceivable that you would live with your parents or like be able to, like you'd have the means to, like that wouldn't seem out of bounds, Because sometimes it's just like, oh, I'd like to, but I can't, and why not? Well, like we have to address the why not. I mean, if it's more of a personal decision, that's fine. Like if you guys have a tough relationship or whatever, like, well, okay, but like if there's a means problem, you have to address the means problem. All right, those are my three broad points that kind of relate to each other in certain ways. But Trevor, please.
All right. First of all, for future reference on this show, don't worry about me getting my minutes because I'm an idiot that doesn't know very much. If I need to interject, I'll like put my hand up or something. Second of all,
can I interject?
Yeah.
Here we go.
So, Trev's lying. But
he is lying.
The dynamic of this relationship
I'm out of my league here.
Is the dynamic of our relationship is Tyler will rant, Prem will rant, and Trevor will like soak. Like you are
and ground.
We are insane, Trev. You're not insane. You're literally just perfect. So don't sell yourself short. Screw all them haters.
In fact, sell yourself tall, if you will.
Okay. Yeah, if you two finish with or if you're on a long arc and I have my one-liner to wrap it up with, I'll just say it whenever. The timing will be better that way anyway.
Okay.
But thanks, Swap. I mean, especially with someone who lives in New York City, works for a newspaper, has already had articles published, things like this, is studying how to research and know about things like this. And I fly planes. It's a little, like one of us is going to sound a lot more research than the other.
Yeah, but in reality, it sounds like you're above my head, so. Come on. Get the drum. Get the drum.
Okay,
I'm doing the wake up. Cool.
Yeah, all right. So, yeah, that's something I hadn't really thought about before with all of the, anxiety that comes with just this culture of work. You're 40 to 60 hours a week until you retire. But if that's all you've ever known is that is the way, is just to be going to work and that's your way forward, then yeah, like retiring could be an identity crisis for anybody.
Yeah.
Post-life crisis.
Yeah.
Retirement can feel like death if all you've ever known about life is work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something I hadn't really thought about too much before.
Right.
I actually just recently had a conversation with my dad. We were grabbing lunch together, and he was talking about retirement because we were driving through this neighborhood, and he's like, I've been thinking about, what it'd be like to buy up a couple of these sort of like older houses down in this neighborhood. But with so many apartments going up in town, he's like, the landlord business would be pretty poor. But he's like, I have to retire from my firm at 60, and I want to find something to be doing after that. So when he turns 60, yeah, he's a certified public accountant. But when he turns 60 and has to retire, his youngest daughter is going to be 13. He's like,
Yep.
nothing. He's like, I could even be just at that point like a stay-at-home dad, like nothing wrong with it. He's like, but paraphrasing from our conversation, he's like, I don't know if that like image of idleness is really what I want to be showing to my 13-year-old daughter and at my 15-year-old son at that point, in our home. And like, yeah, I'm just gonna need something to do. Obviously, then they're gonna hit college after that. Income would be good past that point, things like this. So, yeah, I know that even though he's got about a decade until that happens, yeah, it's something that I've had a different perspective on after that conversation. And
Yeah.
my last thing here, I was gonna bring this back to adulthood, actually, kind of how we started it, but I might have forgotten how.
Enter the brain palace. Enter the brain palace. Close your eyes.
I know. I
Do you
was like
need
putting
time
my
to
Close your
think
fingers.
about
eyes.
it?
I was putting my
Close your eyes. Close
fingers
your eyes.
on my
Close your
knee
eyes.
to try
All right. All
to
right.
count out my
So
points
so
here. It was gonna go back
into the
to
closet.
it was gonna go back to Dan's point about the death march that we're on
There you
of
go.
work.
Little boxes
Um,
on the hillside. Little boxes
and it have to
made
do
of
with retirement.
ticky-tacky. Little boxes
Go to the filing cabinet that's labeled.
Oh yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
all
let's
right, all
go,
right.
baby. Brain palace power.
Okay, uh, so we're going back to where we were in the conversation. We were talking about this. Basically, is like this embedded attitude of like you just work, and that's what people do. So we're talking about going right to where we're like, all right, what are we actually going to talk about for this one? And like adulthood, you were saying like the ways, the import of it, like what differences you might see. There's a song lyric by Green Day and their song The Grouch, and it's the starting lines are, I was a young boy that had big plans, now I'm just another shitty old man. And it doesn't seem that thought-provoking on the surface, but I often wonder as I get older if I become less and less able to push back against the norms that maybe, as I was younger, or even now, and I'll lose as I get older, that I was able to be like, that's not the way I want to do things. I want to do it different. And if you just lose that, if it's like a loss of energy or creativity that you see, but I really fear that right now I kind of have some ability to see that that isn't the path that I want to be on. And I see some options that I have for resisting it, but I worry that as I get older, I'm just going to get tighter into the funnel and lose that ability. So yeah we talk about the death march of work that you're on through adulthood, and we talked about how is adulthood different from only 4 years ago when we were dependents and what have you. Is that I do worry that I'm doomed. Everyone's probably like, as a kid, as a young 20-year-old, they're thinking, oh yeah, like I can do it my way. I'm a creative thinker. I listen to Green Day. But maybe that's what everyone thinks, and then at some point it just gets the best of you before you realize it, and you're kind of in too deep.
Yeah,
Psalm 41.
That reminds me and this might be potentially a good ribbon on top of this. There's a quote in one of our dorms, the John Jay dorm. I think the quote is from John Jay, if I remember properly. It's all above like the fireplace mantle in like the lounge, and it says, "Hold fast to the spirit of youth. Let years to come do what they may." And I like to say that a lot as a bit to a lot of my friends here because they're like, "Oh, there he goes again." But like the quote, it very much relates to what you just said, in that maybe we can conceptualize adulthood to just mean giving up. And as long as you have that awareness, Trevor, that you seem to hold, that acknowledgement, that awareness that there's this personality or this embodiment that I do not want to take on, and this spirit that I want to hold on to, no matter what the years to come will do, then maybe you'll be young forever. Maybe that's the fountain of youth, like maybe adulthood, as we can conceptualize it, is not where you are or how old you are, but how you are. And which is not that being an adult is bad, but being an adult and how we imagine it impinges our ability to see better, to see creativity, to see a world where we're not so concerned with being an adult in the first place. Maybe.
That is a really optimistic way of looking at it. And I like to say that's how it's going to be.
Do you want to get cynical?
Be really nice.
Because I was reflecting on this with my partner Hannah, of kind of the hand that we've been dealt here in terms of we touched like very, 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 very briefly on generational differences and like boomers and millennials and whatever. But across the board, what I've heard as conventional wisdom from my elders, be it the millennial age or any above that, even like close, like people who now would be considered my generation, is be thankful for what you have now because it doesn't last and things get worse. That's the conventional wisdom that is bestowed upon us as youths. And mind you, that's not wisdom. Absolutely not wisdom. That's straight up foolishness. We have to get back into a Zoom meeting again.
Yep.
Absolute foolishness. It's hard to invite you guys to this and focus at the same time. So I'm just going to hit invite. I'm going to hit email. I'm going to go Gmail. And I am going to wait for this to load, and we're going to continue to talk. So, basically, what our conventional wisdom that we're raised upon is, like, be thankful for the youth that you have because, like, it's going to be gone, and that sucks. And there's nothing better than being youthful. So someone who grew up trying to work towards something good, trying to build their life into something good through work, through toil and doing things, realized in retrospect that actually the whole time what is good about life is boners and being horny all the time and being young. Like, that's what's good. And I miss, like, getting sick and recovering right away and not being sore after I work out and, like, being able to have, like, sex 4 times in a day if I wanted to. Hell yeah, that's like wisdom, if I ever heard one.
So do you think that the age that people graduate high school and choose their career path is too early? And do you think that there's, like if you had the magic wand, would society be set up to allow a little bit more, just screw offery for people, for youth?
I think
or do you think it's...
It never starts and never ends.
What never starts?
Yes. I guess we never really got to my conceptualization of adulthood, which is basically adulthood never starts and never ends. I've always seen adults and teachers and everyone older than me as just like more developed children who are trying to figure all this shit out. I sent you guys the invite. And so,
see that.
Like, that kind of started to stem from like my punk rock anti-authority, but I didn't relate to the like punk rock anti-authority because I deeply cared and loved these people that I wanted to tell to fuck off. And I wanted to tell them to fuck off because they were like being weird ass like power trips thinking that they were like better, but in reality it's just like a more developed version of trying to figure out.
Mute. Wait.
Oh, shit, sorry.
Mute.
It's gonna be laggy.
I'm already muted, right? I just didn't join the audio.
Oh, it looks like you're not muted, bro.
I am. Wait.
Mute.
First you gotta connect to audio and then mute. Yeah.
Pointless step.
Yep, I know.
All right.
Continue, SWAT. This is an interesting strain.
I think I kind of just ended it as like we are all children trying to find our way to health and safety and love.
Okay.
No matter what age we are. And we create conceptual differences in age groups. Please go.
You hear me?
Hell yeah.
Okay. I think that's a very interesting perspective. And I think Given another thing we could identify is just that oftentimes both adults by age and kids have more social anxieties that all rhyme with each other in a way in terms of the need to fit in, the need to be loved, the need to be liked, the need to feel like you're a part of something. Those are all
Right.
rhyming anxieties, and those are ones that are separate from the real world anxieties that we know are constructed by our society.
Mm-hmm.
And then
It broke, dude. I don't know. If you can hear me, my computer is done for. Oh? Oh? Is it back? Can you hear me? Yikes. Yikes, brethren. Well, I'm going to take